Welcome back, everyone. Parenting can be the most challenging job. All the information, the advice, the recommendations that keep changing can be overwhelming. How do we know what is right, what is wrong?
It's hard to get it right most of the time, even some of the time. That is where Family Studies professor Dr. Alisa Van Langeveld comes to the rescue. Welcome back to the show. We're doing this March parenting mini-series.
Yes.
It's like our very own super nanny right here in the studio.
That's right. I'm so excited.
I love this idea. Where does information about parenting come from? How do we even know how to do it?
Good question. So there's so much information that's out there. Some of it comes from deep research, some theories, and some strategies. But the best strategies are going to come from research. And I want to paint this picture of this cycle. So researchers like myself will observe children, will observe parents, will start to understand what some of the patterns we see in those parents. And then we'll devise these theories, these principles about parenting, things like attachment. And then we translate those into the everyday strategies that parents use so that we can give them the best practices. But what we really need to remember is that that cycle completes all the way back up, because where we find information from parents is actually from parents, from real families that we observe, and we see who's doing it really well, and then we fine-tune those theories and those strategies so that we can share the best ones that some people have already figured out, and then we can spread that to everyone else.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
But when you go back to Super Nanny, you say this is 2.0, though. There have been things that have changed and better practices that we have learned.
Yes, absolutely.
Our approach here.
Absolutely. So Super Nanny came out in the early 2000s. And what we saw in the psychology research in the late 1990s, early 2000s is a shift toward what's called positive psychology. Positive psychology is the scientific study of positive flourishing and functioning among humans. Historically, psychology has really been focused on avoiding problems, avoiding negative outcomes, maladaptive behavior, and how do we treat mental illness. But in the late 1990s, we saw this deliberate shift in psychology to look at, we don't want to just avoid problems, we want to thrive, we want to flourish. And then positive parenting is an extension of that says we want our children to flourish. How do we parent in such a way that we're not just avoiding problems for them, we want them to actually thrive and reach their full potential.
And be able to problem solve.
And be able to problem solve. So positive parenting is focused both on outcomes and processes. So we want the good outcomes for our kids, but how in our interactions do we have those positive interactions? So what that means is we reject strategies that use coercive discipline, shame, or damage the relationship. And the Super Nanny in the original series had some strategies that ran the risk of having that outcome.
I was a fan. I watched Joe do those because I had littles at the time that came out. And so many of us tuned in to say, what do we do? What do you mean by the strategies that didn't work? What were those and how are we using them?
Great example. So one thing that was used on the Super Nanny is a timeout chair. And what we can see in the research is that when we disconnect from our children during episodes of high emotional reaction for them, when they're overwhelmed and we need a break from them, maybe they've misbehaved, when we disconnect and we go make them stand in a corner or sit on a timeout chair, which is the strategy they use in Super Nanny, that can create some internal shame for a child and disconnect in the relationship and cause some damage in the relationship. So best practice in positive parenting currently says, even in those minutes of overwhelm, we stay connected to our child. We stay present with our child as much as possible.
Okay, so tell us how this strategy, we're going to use it in real time here on our set and also at home. How is this all going to work?
I'm so excited. So we are running a mini-series here on Good Things Utah throughout the month of March. One of your viewers, a family that is one of your viewers, will be working with me one-on-one. We'll meet together once a month, and then they're going to come in studio and explain what they've been learning and how it's been working in their home.
Okay, so I used the words timeout several times back then. What words should parents use instead?
Time in.
Time in.
Time together.
Time together. So we're going to spend, there's an issue that just arose, but we're going to spend time together talking about it rather than you go over there and I go over here and we disconnect.
And we don't even talk about it.
And that's called what type of parenting?
Positive parenting.
Positive parenting. So does this this isn't helicopter. I mean, there are lots of different titles out there. This isn't what?
So positive parenting has more to do with the theory and the strategies. Helicopter has more to do with the everyday interactions. So positive parenting is like the umbrella. Helicopter parenting might look like what it's going on every single day. So there are positive parenting strategies that can be used by helicopter parents.
This is why you're here, because all of the research. And sometimes you find the research and then, like, you're right, you have to apply it in families because there can be a gap there. This is what you're supposed to do, but then you have to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, and when we look at those strategies, sometimes what we find is something we've been doing for a really long time. The research is starting to show that that's really not effective. That's what we've seen with timeout. It's really not the most effective way to help teach our children. So now we update those strategies with positive parenting.
I can't wait for you and to show us how you're applying this with this real family, and we're going to check in every now and again.
Wait, do we know the family yet? Do we know the ages of the kids?
The family gets to apply. So viewers right now, go to my Instagram page and you can apply to be the family here on set.
I'm applying right now.
We will decide.
So I don't know if you are eligible, but I think that she can absolutely help all of us. The info is right there on your screen at 10 Minutes Together. That's where you apply. How nice to get a fresh perspective on your parenting, because we all do it differently and we all think we are right on the right track.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is going to be fun. abc4.com/GTU for more information.
All right, gonna be exciting. All right.